Hello, ladies and gents. Thank you for patiently waiting for the second game of tonight's proceedings. It's going to be a best of three in the WePlay Invitational Round of 16 between H2K Gaming and nFaculty. Quick disclaimer, however, H2K Gaming have just switched over to GF Gaming, but for purposes of keeping things simple and alleviating some confusion, they have kept their name in this tournament H2K Gaming. I can't even say that anymore. H2K Gaming, there we go. And therefore that's what we're going to be calling them as. As you can see, they have their tags up in the Champion Select as well. Regardless, I'm Metis, and I'm joined once again by the lovely Spuddington.
Yeah, good to be here. H2K, they are a very, very strong team. We've seen them a lot lately, and indeed, I believe they are one of two teams to have taken a series against the old Copenhagen Wolves. Remember when they had Fnatic Reckless on their lineup, as well as Shook. H2K did actually beat them out in the finals of DreamHack Bucharest, so that is a testament to how good of a team they are. In fact, are also a fairly well-known team. We've seen them around quite often. Well, I believe they have had a swap out now. Blood Dragon, not a player we've seen a lot of in the past.
Yeah, he did replace Caruso in the side of nFaculty back in July, so it's not a player that we've casted a great deal of, Spud. We have casted the rest of them. I believe they were formerly known as ESC. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how we go forward into this game. I'm not sure who Frederico is because they normally play with a guy called Brokey. So maybe that's their Smurf for his player. But honestly, I'm not too sure, Spud. So we're going into this in kind of uncharted territory.
Yeah, with a couple of lineups changes like that, whether it's subs or not, it does change the dynamics a bit. It may even mess up H2K's scouting because they most likely have played against nFaculty in the past, even if now they have not got so much experience. However, we do have on H2K an interesting pick which is showing their hand a little bit. They've gone for Olaf as well as Jax, so most likely Olaf jungle.
Well, they are thinking about this. I guess quite a bit behind you, Spud, because they still haven't locked that in for me. Quick disclaimer: we are both casting the picks and bans over the stream, and I am looking at the chat. Big thank you, I should say, to Pink Chameleon. Apparently, Brokey is no longer a member of nFaculty, so that goes to show how long it's been since we've casted these guys, Spud.
Yeah, indeed, it has been quite a significant length of time, but. Yeah, going with the Jax, going with the Olaf at the same time. To me, I mean, we saw Team Dignitas UK yesterday running Olaf jungle, and it worked out pretty well for them early on. But I have to say, I'm not sure I'm keen on it. The concerns that we raised yesterday, myself and Pulse, were essentially that Olaf needs quite a lot of gold in order to be able to dive into the enemy team, and generally a jungler's budget isn't going to cut it. We saw Impaler running with like a double Doran's Blade into Shirelia's Reverie, which was quite an efficient way of using it and getting that movement speed and getting that health on himself. But still, they did not manage to make that work out for themselves in the end. So it could be a Jax jungle, that's the other thing, but he hits very, very similar problems if you go for that. So I'll be interested to see if either of the two teams can, if H2K can make that Olaf jungle work, if that's what they're going for. But they themselves might be, well, no, they're not. I'm blind. I thought they were using Kha'Zix's jungle for a second because Smite was next to him. They are potentially going to lock in Fizz for the last pick.
All right. Well, that's going to be quite an interesting lane switch up then, or potential matchup between Syndra and Fizz in the mid. You do play quite a bit of Syndra yourself, Spud. If it turns out to be that matchup, who comes out ahead? Because that's not something we see a great deal of.
Well, Syndra has comparatively few bad matchups in terms of straight 1v1ing. Her damage is high, her CC is good, she generally is a very strong duelist. Her biggest problem is that she suffers from the problem of being very easily ganked. She has no actual escape. Her only real defense against ganks is that Scatter the Weak, which, assuming she doesn't have time to put down a ball to accompany that, is only a knockback anyway. It's not going to be the 1.5 seconds stun as well. So she's quite vulnerable to ganking, and it looks like nFaculty have opted to try and take advantage of that. They are running with a Vi jungle, which we already knew, Post level 6, that obviously means she can ignore Scatter the Weak. The second part is they are running either Lissandra or Kha'Zix, both of whom work the same way in a mid lane situation, in that they set up ganks very, very efficiently indeed.
Very true. And just going back onto the Olaf point, it has been mainly played in Korea as a jungle, so that's what I'm expecting to see. I have just seen that they've switched it over to Jankos there for the jungle role. Not too surprising. It's going to leave Jax at the top lane, which he's very comfortable in. It's going to be farming a lot, but it would appear from these picks, I mean, Kha'Zix and Lissandra are interchangeable champions. They're very versatile. We've seen both of them running top, both of them running mid. So, which of those lineups would you want to be putting if you're in Faculty's point of view here, Spud, to go against Jax? Who fares better between Kha'Zix and Lissandra?
Kha'Zix is generally the one. I believe Dignitas UK's Nitrix. I had a conversation with Stress, right? Dignitas Stress, who had a conversation with Dignitas Nitrix, who is their top laner, and he had a lot to say about how badly Kha'Zix actually damages Jax's laning potential. I cannot remember the precise logic, but I believe it was because Jax has a hard time dealing with the small spikes of damage, and he can't really go all in on Kha'Zix until he's got a lot of items and damage. So we will see what happens. It may even be a Lissandra top against Jax. We have seen that a few times too. But regardless, we will be going into a quick delay timer, and as a result, a quick commercial break. So we will see you after this. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to H2K versus GF. Wait, no, they're not. No, that's their name change. H2K versus N-Faculty. H2K have changed their name to GF Gaming. Metzers, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Apart from a cold I have, but hopefully that's not going to hold me back in the casting. But really looking forward to this game. I wasn't around to catch the previous one, but you said it was fairly one-sided. So let's hope, from the audience's view, this is a bit closer. I would say that I think the teams are more evenly matched here, so I can see it going into that best of three kind of stage.
Yeah, both of these teams are well-known challenger teams, and we've seen a lot from both of them in the past, and both of them have done pretty well. But Vanda might find Frederico here.
Here's that sentence comes out, but Frederico takes the leap first, and he's going to be okay, just jumping over the wall.
That will hurt his level 1, however, and one of the things about top lane, if he's running in that top lane, we don't actually know if he is or not, is that it's kind of a balancing act in the super early game. If you are unable to force the other guy back, because whoever gets the minions pushing a little bit more in their direction will get an XP advantage, so they'll hit level 2 first. Therefore, if they get that level 2, they're able to push the other guy back even further, force them under the tower, they lose a bit of CS, and obviously they cannot go aggressive at all if they're being forced back because of that level disadvantage, and then the creep disadvantage as well. So if you are weaker at the start, that gives you less capacity to just push them back. So it can actually have larger knock-on consequences than you would think, given that he's only committed 1 point there.
And with the opening stages being fairly lax and not a great deal happening, although Xaxus was thinking about a potential steal, as both counter jungles do come in, and they're both going to be successful. But the point I was going to make here, Spud, is have a quick gander at Thresh's opening build. He doesn't have the Biscuit or the Explorer ward, he has 2 wards and 5 health potions. That's
wow,
a bit strange.
Aggressive.
That's a bit odd. You don't often see that from Thresh.
No, and if you... Yeah, that is really quite strange. He did actually put down quite a few wards in the invade, however, and that is probably where he's committed a lot of those wards. He's got them a big amount of vision, and indeed, if you think about it, 5 green wards because he was relying on being not against an enemy support who has pinks. Makes a lot more sense than committing extra gold to pinks when you're not actually going to have anything to pink away. So, it does look like they have managed to get Jax out of that bad 1 versus 1 matchup with Kha'Zix, and he is going to be just camping around in this bottom lane, looking to stay in XP range. And honestly, between the two of them, Jax is probably going to be the better character to have on your team if he gets no actual gold at all and just gets XP.
Yes, that's very true, and everyone knows and fears Jax getting into the later stages when the likes of Trinity Force, Blade of the Ruined King, Randuin's Omen and such start to be built up. It's going to be very scary, very difficult to duel against as well. So, N-Faculty are going to need to make sure this 1 versus 2 situation goes in their favour. Can see that Vi's at the top lane right now, Blood Dragon taking the double golems, but actually not going to be going to top to get this gank off as the level 2 hits on Frederico. In fact, will be now.
He's thinking about it. He has been spotted. That hook was going quite close. But actually, they need to be careful because once that creep wave is gone, right now they don't want to go for it. But once that's gone, and it is now gone, they have a lot of burst between Kha'Zix and Vi, especially with the armor shred, then increasing Kha'Zix's burst even more. The only issue is maybe the little bit of health that Kha'Zix is lacking, but we'll see what they actually end up with here.
Kha'Zix getting some damage down, does eat a Piltover of a Peacemaker for his troubles though, and backs away to his tower. So Vi's had the first whiff at a potential, sniff at a potential gank, but didn't quite pay off. That ward really is giving so much map presence and knowledge to H2K, so they know exactly where the jungler is, and they've known for the last minute and a half, so that's going to give the mid lane a lot of breathing room. But speaking of the mid lane, Spud, you mentioned something to me in the break about potential Syndra issues in the current game with some bugs on Q. As the top gank actually comes in, don't think it's going to work though.
Yeah, so this isn't actually something I had heard about before today. And this isn't actually our tournament, so it's not our fault if we fail to ban something that's broken. But the thing that is apparently the case with the current Syndra is her Q. As I understand it, her Q can sometimes deal double damage. I might be wrong about that, but knowing the way stuff tends to work in League of Legends, you know, the old everything is a minion kind of joke, possibly having that hit detection tick twice, that doesn't seem that unreasonable, although why it would occur now is anyone's guess. But I think I like the fact now, by the way, this is on a completely unrelated note, I'm actually suddenly thinking the H2K setup of taking Olaf and Jax makes a lot more sense, because they're both just bot lane, and they're kind of sharing the farm in the 2-on-1.
Yeah, exactly. And plus the fact as well that going later on into this game, Olaf against Lissandra, he's just going to be able to Ragnarok his way through the Frozen Tomb. It's almost going to be impossible for the side of Faculty to keep him away from their AD carry. Like, Ezreal's a very slippery AD carry, but once his Arcane Shift has been put down, it's going to be difficult. And speaking of which, he just landed an undertow onto Naruk here, who's been jumped on from the counter-strike of Xaxus as well. They're chasing down this bot lane. They've got mixed focus, looking for the Sona. Ignite comes out as the exhaust as well, and Faculty are going to live to fight for another day. Lots of damage being exchanged, however.
Yeah, that will give them an opportunity to push up to the tower and back off, though, and they don't have to worry about losing health on their tower. Blood Dragon caught in the top, though.
Yeah, flayed as well. Here comes the Ignite and the flash from Vander. He could be falling. In fact, it's going to be first blood to Vander. That was so close, though.
Yeah, really, really was. He cancelled his last auto attack animation. Very easy to do on Thresh, and as it happens, it looks like Frederico was thinking about going for blood. He's popped his red elixir, presumably from the last time he was forced out of lane, but he's actually not looking too good here.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. 17 CS right now is getting a bit more underneath the tower, but as you say, not necessarily looking too strong. So first blood is going to be on the side of H2K, on the support as well, so that's an early Philosopher's Stone, Vision Ward and Sight Ward coming in for Vander, who's going to be rejoining the ranks at the top lane. And now Celiver's going to be recalling on. Caitlyn has 1.8k, nearly 1.9k to spend, so it's going to be pretty beefy when he rejoins the lane.
Yeah, that's going to be a BF sword, and indeed it is, so that's giving her a lot more poke. She doesn't need to worry about sustain right now, so no real need for Vamp Scepter or anything like that. Blood Dragon actually going to be fighting out with Jankos. I honestly don't know who's going to be coming out ahead here, but Thresh is cutting off No Way For You.
Yes, he is, and this is after the Glacial Prison has, in fact, I should say the Glacial Path was used, so that escape tool is not on the table. Frozen Tomb was used, but nowhere near enough. And that all came off the back of Overpower hard engaging with his ultimate about 20 or so seconds and putting the Ignite, so that weakened No Way For You, and they managed to capitalize and convert that into a second kill, and also the red steal on top of it. So, really nice start from H2K Gaming, jumping up the blocks very quickly.
Yeah, and the other thing is that Xaxus in the bottom lane is actually getting quite an okay amount of farm for a 2 versus 1 lane. 34 farm, not bad at all. He's also level 6, so a little bit behind on experience compared to where he would be, but he has, as a result of that, been giving quite a lot of that over to Jankos, who is, as a result, quite high level. It's actually funny because it's kind of flattened out the levels compared to what you would see in a standard, 2-on-2, 1-on-1, 1-on-1 setup there.
Yeah, and speaking of experience and the way that it's going in terms of CS, I'm having a quick look at the mid lanes. It's only about 10 in advantage of Overpower, which is as a result of that kill going down into mid, onto No Way For You. Both AD carries are pretty much neck and neck on CS, but of course Caitlyn does have the assist over Ezreal. So apart from the solo laners, it's going to be Kha'Zix and Jax, it's pretty much dead even here, Spud. So it's very, very close.
Indeed it is, but it does look like H2K are going to be the ones to take first tower blood here, if that's what you want to call it. First cement, first brick and mortar crumble. They are going to be certainly taking that top tower. The question is whether Vi is going to be able to set up a gank immediately afterwards. She will be spotted very soon.
Yep, here comes Blood Dragon from the side. Nice flame, but the Assault and Factory will be coming down. Vander's taking a lot of damage. He should be falling, does get a death sentence, but just delaying the inevitable. And it will be Kha'Zix picking up the kills. So that is going to go some way to mitigate the CS differential between him and Jax.
Yeah, and the tower is actually still up, but I would imagine he's gonna face tank the wave to keep that up. The longer he can delay that tower falling down, the longer it will be before H2K gets that little parcel of gold, which can make the difference between being able to buy an item and not. No Way For You in mid, going aggressive.
He is frozen. Tomb's been popped as well, but can Overpower escape this position? Yes, he can. Doesn't seem like No Way For You actually wants to jump on top of this one again. So lots of damage, but not enough to secure the kill. Ezreal's coming up, and it does actually clip Overpower, I believe, but not enough damage.
He was, I think what they were aiming for there was for No Way For You to follow that up. He was just a little bit too far away to go for Glacial Path. Syndra, however, Overpower right now, with that Ignite up, No Way For You is actually probably low enough on health. If he gets stunned, Syndra could probably kill him in one shot.
Yeah, but No Way For You is just keeping a bit more passive right now. Vander's coming around from his side, just planting down a ward for potential ganks coming in from Blood Dragon. So helping out his mid lane, going to the top. As you say, that first tower falling will be in the hands of H2K Gaming. And Celaver is still neck and neck with Ezreal. So for all of the objective falling and the 2-to-1 kills, still the AD carries and by and large even.
Yeah, indeed. I would just like to point out the item of the day is Doran's Blade. But we have got this continued push actually. Celaver feeling very little reason to back away because, well, Kha'Zix doesn't have a lot of wave clear and he knows there are 4 people committed in the bot lane from NFAC. So, well, or maybe he doesn't know that. He's actually backing away now. He's out of mana and maybe feeling a little bit paranoid. So, going to be backing away from that. But that does mean that NFAC will essentially pick up an objective for free. Although that being said, H2K had already taken their own free objectives before in completely separate instances.
Yes, and with the duo lane at top just pushing down the top lane, the creep wave is pushing very heavily. So even though the dragon has been picked up right now in the last few moments from N-Faculty, they still find themselves 1.3k gold behind. And these towers, I'm having a quick look at them, with the exception of bot as you'd expect, which is fairly low at about 650 hit points. The other two are very healthy. So this tower's not going to be falling, and therefore you've got to say that for the conceivable future, H2K are going to be ahead on gold.
Yeah, they have a significant advantage, but it's not so significant it's going to really turn fights around, and it is giving Frederico a chance to farm and catch up. He's now on 54 CS compared to his parallel Jax, 69 CS, a gap that's a lot smaller than it was. However, it actually looks like Jax is looking to try and get a kill out of this. He's being followed by Jankos. He may just try and delude him into thinking it's just a farm fest.
Yeah, he is. Leap comes across from Frederico though, but Jankos from one side, Zazas from the other. The Counter-Strike has already been used, so got 11-second cooldown, still chasing after Frederico. 10 seconds on his leap. He does, however, have Flash up and available, so he's going to be using the ultimate. Coming back on into Zazas. Can he pick up this kill? Doesn't look likely. The Ignite's been popped down, and he will be falling to Undertow.
Yeah, nice little usage there. I have to say, Frederico, though, got a little bit greedy. He thought he could stick around. You saw him damaging Xaxus, going out of his way from escaping in order to damage Xaxus, even though he knew Loaf was already there. So he was sticking around and just throwing out a bit of extra damage. Blood Dragon walking into the enemy jungle, but potentially going to end up in... Actually, that's his own jungle. It's the enemy's jungle now. It could have potentially ended up in a 2-on-1. Actually, just going to be walking away.
Yeah, when a level 9 Brolaf is against you and you're 7, it's pretty much no longer your jungle. There's not a great deal you can do about that, and Overpower's even in there, taking away some of the wraith, so it's not looking too good. No Way For You is kind of just skirting around the edges. Doesn't want to get too close to Syndra, going to try and pick up this blue buff and come back into lane.
Yeah, and it's probably time we paid a little bit of attention to the bot lane, because really there just hasn't been too much going on. We had them in the top originally, and they were just doing a pushing war. But if you were to compare them now, I've got to say I favor H2K once again. They seem to be taking a couple of small advantages. Actually, Xaxus is fighting Frederico.
Wow, his damage is huge. The Counter-Strike comes down again. Frederico's forced to leap away. His flash has been already popped. He does have the Ignite up, so Xaxus needs to be a little careful. He doesn't get too aggressive. Bot lane, though, Vi's going to be claiming that kill on Thresh.
And Frederico gets picked up by Jankos in the top. Yeah, walked up, undertowed, and walked away. Nice and casual there. But in exchange of kills, that does actually give Jax a good opportunity now to try and do some damage to this top tower. Blood Dragon if he is aware of this, will run straight there, and he's indeed doing so. Xaxus opting to go for the farm rather than tower damage, which is understandable at this stage of the game. He wants to get as much gold as possible to make himself a big split pushing threat so he can take the tower later, but he's actually maybe potentially in at risk of overstaying. Actually, not a big concern though, no assault and battery on Vi.
It's also pretty interesting that No Way For You has stayed in mid lane until he's accumulated 2.88k here. So he's got a lot of gold to spend when he does finally go back to spawn. He was recalling there, cancelled it to get a couple more creeps in the mid, and I'm not too sure what he's going to go for. He's already got a Fiendish Codex, so in terms of itemization, when he goes back with about 3,000 gold spud, what do you expect to see coming out here from Enfaculty's mid laner?
Ooh, this is actually really cool. No, yeah, but it's really interesting to actually see that, because you're seeing it more and more on the Lissandra players picking up Deathfire Grasp as their first major AP item. Now, obviously Ahri has been nerfed, but Lissandra with Deathfire Grasp plays a very similar playstyle. You look to catch someone out and burst them down really, really hard, because normally Lissandra, she uses her Glacial Path to get in, so she doesn't have enough damage to 100-0 someone. With Ignite, with Deathfire Grasp, she can burst a squishy down, especially if it's a vulnerable squishy, someone like Syndra, who needs at least a little bit of time to get her full combo off. That makes Lissandra now a big, big threat to Syndra. If she's caught out of position due to lane rotations, due to just trying to get in position for a team fight, Lissandra will blow her up, and she will do it repeatedly.
And I guess the extra spanner to throw in the works as well is if they manage to get a combination with Vyzol, the Assault and Battery, that's going to be insane amounts of burst damage and nowhere for Overpowered to turn, nowhere for him to go. Second tower for H2K has been picked up from the duo lane, so they've took down both so far from Celaver and also Vandernoop. So about 2.2k gold ahead, really nothing to write home about. And as he's saying in mid lane now, No Way For You is going for that full engage, but he actually gets bursted from Syndra's. Oh my goodness, that damage.
Syndra at level 6 has the highest damage combo in the game, if she is able to set it up correctly, and on that occasion she was. I think Lissandra maybe slightly overestimated her damage. I certainly did, because I said you could 100-0 her. Turned out that was not the case, and that costs you quite dearly when you end up against Syndra's full combo. Several Qs set up for that. But I also want to note right now, Frederico having trouble pushing back Xaxus in top, and a fight potentially kicking off.
Yeah, Dragon was picked up from Blood Dragon on Vice, and that's going to be in Enfaculty's hands. Now Ragnarok has been used. Fail flash from Miming Simon will be blocked away the ace of the hole, but it's not going to be enough. Crescendo comes down, locks down 3 players, but the damage has already been done. However, that was a kill for Dragon Exchange, so Enfaculty not coming out too dire there. Actually, not too bad for them.
Yeah, H2K actually, though, still taking a few advantages, even if you consider that Enfac didn't come out too badly there. The fact that there's now 3,000 gold between the two teams is getting to not the danger point, but it's getting concerning for the players, and it does look like they're going to try and rectify that. Xaxus in this top lane could be in trouble. Here comes the gank.
Yeah, Glacial Path from one side, Frozen Tomb as well. Counter-Strike will not be blocking that. And they do pick up the kill. Second for Kha'Zix with 87 CS to Jax's 130. So on CS it looks pretty brutal, but at least he's got the 2 kills. A beautiful combination with Scatter the weak into death sentence, but they didn't want to jump on top of that with both Vi and Lissandra lurking in the shadows.
Yeah. That's one of the clever things H2K have done with this swap up, though. They've made it so that a bad matchup one-on-one, which you can actually see Kha'Zix was prepared for and expecting, because he started with a red pot. Because of that situation with the 2-on-1, now Jax has reached the point where he can duel Kha'Zix, and that was something that I think Enfac were really relying on to go in their favor. They were expecting Kha'Zix to be to be stronger than Jax in that one-on-one for quite some time to come. So they're having to deal with that ridiculous Jax split pushing pressure much earlier than they had planned for, and that is not ideal from their perspective.
Yeah, and for people in chat saying Vandernoob, you know, toxic caster and stuff like that, it's actually his old name. So I'm going to have to get out of that habit. Old habits die hard. So his name is actually Vander now, but I'm used to casting him from a long time ago. He's been casting for a long time, so Vandernoob seems to just roll off the tongue. I'll do my best to correct that in the future, though. Thanks for giving me a heads up. Jankos is going to be clearing out this ward, getting some harassment from Rhyming Simon, but it is kind of getting to that stage now where H2K are getting power spikes across the board, and it's going to be difficult for Faculty to deal with the damage, to deal with the tankiness of both Jax and Jankos chasing you down.
Indeed, I've got to say, actually, right now, H2K are looking seriously good. And you can see how much damage Frederico just took from a Trinity Force proc Empowered Leap Strike. That was all that health in one shot. That means he has to be so careful because Xaxus is tanky as heck and he can dive towers very easily. Lissandra has to be very careful about this. She can't 100-0 him.
Well, Frozen 2-man Deathfire grasp come out, but Frederico's coming around from the side. Counter-Strike has been used as well. Does Jax have enough damage in this 1 versus 2? He's not going to have quite enough. In fact, he is going to have enough as Undertow comes through the wall to take down the kill. But my goodness, Xaxus is strong. Very nearly going 1 versus 2 and coming out ahead.
Yeah, that's classic Jax for you. Unfortunately for the side of Faculty, that's only going to get worse with time because, yeah, even though Lissandra's damage will go up and Kha'Zix's damage will go up, you can't easily assassinate Jax. He just has too much MR from his ultimate and too much armor easily built into his build and actually from his base stats. One of the things about Jax that people somewhat underestimate, he has very high base armor and base health.
Yeah, exactly. He's naturally a pretty tanky champion. And when you add on top of that the Triforce, which of course he's going to be getting the Phage from, the 2 Doran's Blades as well, it's just looking even scarier. The ultimate again going to be used from Overpower. This time on Blood Dragon, who's going to go pretty low, but not enough to burst him down.
Oh, well, indeed. So, looks like Faculty now are going to lose their mid tower and look to get something. Nice hook!
Yeah, crescendo afterwards from Vandernoob. He's actually going to be getting crushed down from Kha'Zix, who's picked up his 3rd kill. True Shot Barrage coming around from the back as well, but they still got the 3rd tower spot. So even though Faculty are picking up a kill here and a kill there, they're still falling further and further behind on objectives, and that's the important part. Kills do not win games, it's the objectives that do. Bursting down the Nexus, and in that terms, H2K is just ahead right now of Faculty.
Yeah, they're behind on quite a number of counts. They are behind on farm on everyone. They are behind on kills on key players. And that all in all just means that NFAC have not a mountain, but you know, more than a molehill to climb at this point. And they are going to have to do something about it because the late game from H2K is just satanically powerful. I mean, they have unbelievably good scaling into the late game with Olaf, with Jax, probably the hardest scaling bruisers in the game, with Caitlyn, with the extreme range at late game gets ridiculously useful as well. Syndra, extremely high burst and an amazing pick potential setup, as well as Thresh, who is also very good at setting up picks. I mean, H2K, GF Gaming, they are really in a good spot right now, so long as they don't start losing fights. Although it's a little bit difficult to call why they would be, short of sort of Jax syndrome, where you go in 1v5.
Which is a thing, certainly in solo queue. People become Rambo suddenly when they get a couple kills under their belt and want to attack the entire enemy army. But that being said, in mid lane, it looks as though Overpower's found himself in a sticky situation, and he will be closed down from Vi. Here comes Jankos, though, has also popped off his Ghost as well. Not his Ghost, sorry, Shrelia's Reverie, I should say, has a flash and that to go through. But he's just forcing them away. He's not able to avenge his fallen comrade of Overpower.
However, this potential issue for H2K right now is Celaver may have overcommitted. Nurox Smurf is trying to bait him in, but regardless, he is going to be getting caught by Lissandra.
He is Lissandra from the backside, Ring of Frost, and the True Shot Barrage come through. Ignite has been used as well. Mystic Shot from the side, but there's going to be Barrier coming up, and the Dark Passage, they pick up the kill and manage to escape, and now Nurox in a horrific position. He's going to be falling. Double kill comes in from Caitlyn. And we thought that Celaver had overcommitted. Nope, calculated. Knew his team were coming in to help him out.
And that confidence at the end from Celaver, he just walked right up to Ezreal, even though he himself was on 100 health. He was like, nope, I'm going to lifesteal through this. My auto attack will land before yours. Kept himself alive, ends up getting that set up for him. And Jax was able to take another tower in the top lane, forcing Kha'Zix out, getting himself further ahead, and getting his team definitely now well ahead.
I can't stress enough how good that was mechanically from Celiva, even flashing with cat-like reactions out of the True Shot barrage to make sure that was not going to land. It was just so good to watch, and turning a situation that looked dire back into their favour. Also have to give props to the rest of H2K for reacting quickly and coming to the aid of their AD carry. But as you say, that is just going to be another nail in the coffin of Faculty. They lost another tower, they lost more kills, and a double kill on Caitlyn's never a good thing. Scatter the Weak lands on Ryman Simon, Death Sentence comes in, but they're not going to be able to connect. That being said though, Dragon has respawn Spud, so potential for another fight kicking off very shortly.
And I've got to say, if Faculty wanted to fight, now is the time. They have to fight eventually. They're going to have to deal with the cape traps, but there's a lot of gold committed from H2K they haven't spent.
Dragon has just been picked up, and here comes the crescendo right in the face of Olaf, but hey, Ragnarok, not going to be happening today. Double kill from Syndra, looking for the potential triple. Frozen Tomb will be on top of Lysandra, comes out of that and gets absolutely decimated. 4-for-0 trade with just the AD carry of Narux, Ezreal surviving, and nobody falling for H2K, so 4 kills plus a Dragon. My goodness.
Yeah, and that could actually mean a Baron as well, because Celiva, Xaxus Overpower, and Vander are all heading there. Olaf recalled, he will be there for that. Won't have the smite because he used it on Dragon, so they're, maybe Mystic Shot over the wall. But I've got to give props, H2K doing a really good job of getting that Dragon and fighting that fight effectively. I mean, and Faculty were trying to get in there and trying to capitalize on what they thought might be their last opportunity, but they just were not able to make it work for them, and because of that, they put themselves in a situation where now, honestly, it's time to start thinking about how they're going to fix this for the next game.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. Hit the nail on the head. Just the rub salt and the moves to kick Faculty when they're down. Caitlyn just recalled with 4.5k gold. Jax has got over 3,000, and Syndra's close to 3,000 as well. So it's not just the case they got Baron, or the fact that you're 4 towers behind, or over 10,000 gold behind, but now you have to deal with super fed, super hard itemed up carries and teams facing off against you. I like to be the optimist, Spud, but I feel this game, it may have seen one of its final breaths.
Yeah, this is now just waiting for H2K to get aggressive, but the question really is, what exactly can they do about it? Because I feel a large part of this was they were too reliant on getting that 1v1 Kha'Zix versus Jax. Didn't end up working out for them because of the swap up, and that is one of the weaknesses with running Kha'Zix. They showed their hand very early by having Lysandra and Kha'Zix picked out. That meant that H2K could definitely try and plan around it. It actually looks like Blood Dragon may go for this. It's a last-ditch effort.
It is. Blood Dragon has been caught between two very difficult situations. That's a Jackson and Olaf. Crescendo and Overpower underneath the tower for Ryman Simon, who gets pretty much 2-shot from Celiva. Now they're going to be going on to Celiva with the Frozen Tomb. Zhonya's Hourglass from No Way View. He comes out for the double kill. In fact, it's going to be a triple kill from Celiva on Caitlyn, who goes 7-0 and forward 312 CS at 28 minutes, having a blinder of a game. And with all 4 players down and out, this is going to be at the very least one in him.
Holy moly, this is not going well for them all of a sudden. Oh, well, okay, all of a sudden it's been a while coming actually, but Faculty really just not a lot they can do. This is just going to be the barrel down mid lane, and they are going to take the Nexus towers. So it does seem like game 1 will be going in the favor of H2K. Last ditch efforts coming out, but are they really going to be able to do anything here, Metas?
No, I think, to be as blunt as possible, just as a resounding no. The Nexus is coming down, and that is going to be the first game out of a potential 3 going into the hands of H2K. As you said previously, I think it's a case of Faculty, they have to dust themselves down, they have to think about this one hard, going into the next picks and ban stage. What do they eliminate? Are they potentially going to ban out the Jax or the Olaf? Or are they just going to pick away Caitlyn from Celiva? Because his Caitlyn, honestly, is just brutal to play against. We saw his mechanics in that 1 versus 2 at bot lane. It was just majestic.
Yeah, really, really hard to come back from a defeat like that. But we'll see if they have the mental fortitude to do so. And Faculty are, in spite of how unbalanced that game looked, a really, really good team. We will probably see more from them in the future, but we will certainly see more from them in the next few minutes, because this is a best of 3. They have at least one more game in which to prove themselves to be that team we know they can be. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be just going into a quick commercial break while we get the next lobby set up, and when that is done, we will come back live, and you will be able to see Champion Select with myself and Metas once again. We'll see you after this.